Hey everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. I have a treat for you today. We're going to be talking about Canada. We're going to be talking about Alberta. Now, many of you may not know, as Americans, you may not know what's going on in Canada, but lately, more people are asking a question that would have sounded unthinkable a decade ago. Could Alberta actually leave Canada? And I'm not even on TikTok yet because I want you to hear what I said in 2022. 2022. Yeah. And a lot of people don't believe it, but I did. And so just to prove it to you, I'm going to have you listen to it right now. Okay. And it's on, I had it all queued up. Listen to this. Why is she an ambassador for change? She is the new premier of Alberta, making Alberta a sovereign country, sovereign province. Why does this matter? Because we are building a new parallel world. We are building a new model, and we are building smaller communities that are sovereign on their own. In Canada, it will be province by province. The next one I predict, Newfoundland. The other one, Norway and Finland. And of course, Brazil. But that'll take a while. So let's look at her birth chart. Okay, so obviously Brazil, Newfoundland, Norway, they're already countries of their own, right? But the sovereignty is leaving the segment, the continent that they're attached to. Brazil's its own continent, but it's that sovereignty. So this was, if you saw what I pointed to, this was 2022, 11/11. So November 11th, 2022. Now, 4 years later, Alberta is doing a referendum in order for them to leave. And I want to accentuate on what this means for the entire world. This is why it matters. I was working with a client today who lives out, and I wanted to wear this love for Alberta. Okay. We got your back. He works in the oil industry, and I talk about him quite a bit. I told him that today. And that was that a year ago, I predicted through him what was going on with his career. Okay. Because he was saying that they might be doing a bunch of layoffs, and I'm wondering if the next one and he's in the office department of the oil companies in Saskatchewan. Today, I talked to him in September of 2025, and he confirmed that he knew this was already happening. Then I said, there's another company that's taking acquisitions, taking over your company. And he goes, I'm not aware of that at all. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was. He knew of that company, but he didn't realize that it was part of what was going on with his company, but he does know now. So he actually got let go, and he's fine with that. And I said, you're going to be hooking up with this whole oil. And then I started getting downloads. So let me tell you what I got, and we'll see what happens, right? We'll see how this plays out. The Saudi Arabia, India, Dubai, that whole, even Iran, that whole section over there is going to become the power houses of the world. You know, everybody wanted to come to North America. Everybody was trying to get their visas and their permanent residences and getting jobs and moving their families here to North America, Canada, United States. It's going to flip. And everyone's going to want to go back to those countries, India, etc., the ones I just mentioned. But what's the one that's not really going to change a lot in North America is Alberta. So Alberta is going to be just thriving for jobs. I mean, if you can't work where you live, no matter where you live in the world, you're going to want to come to Alberta in order to make really good money. And this was a download I got too, is they're going to make better money. This happened in the 70s, I think it was. I think it was the 70s when this happened, and everybody from Canada was flocking over to Alberta because that's when the oil rigs and everything started then. It's gonna be bigger than that because they're going to be housed well, they're gonna be paid exceptionally well, the perks are gonna be off the charts, and they're gonna get the best benefits known to mankind. This is what I'm seeing. So this is gonna be a very lucrative, wealthy job to have. Now, I did say to him that I see it happening in these it was hard for me to describe the download that I received, but it was like they were getting, I'm gonna go on TikTok now, by the way. They were getting on, so there we go. In pockets of work. So pockets of work, what I mean by that is the crew. This is how the only way I could describe it. There is a crew that would work for a certain department or a certain segment of the progress going on. There's more because there's AI involved in this too. Okay, so hang in there. And there's the rest of the world too. And there's a client that I have in England that's actually backing up who works for a huge sort of a nuclear type of company. They provide something for nuclear, making nuclear power. Now, if you understand what's going on in the world that's located in Canada, you're going to be able to shift how long it takes you to get out of the workforce. So this is my download that I received around Alberta and Canada. I've always said that I don't see Alberta completely separating itself from Canada. I see it as a very strong handshake with Alberta. And that strong handshake is a business agreement. Now, as we started talking, he gave me a little bit more information about how there was, it's called, oh, you can look it up, Olds, OLDS. It's a town in Alberta. And they have just made a deal to house acres and acres of a database. Don't quote me on that exactly, but it's a database for AI. Well, 4 days ago, I got a download out of nowhere that Canada's land is going to become very lucrative short term for these database battery, where they have to store energy batteries and to have these nuclear powers that are feeding other countries. I don't know how this happens, but it's feeding other countries. The database center is feeding other countries. So with this download that I received 4 or 5 days ago, plus the downloads I was getting while I was talking to my client, Alberta is going to somewhat separate or become sovereign, as I predicted in 2022. Massive amount of jobs are going to be open to anyone that can work, functionally can work. And a massive amount of money is going to be given to them with incentives, okay? Incentives, like either they're going to get shares. And then I started looking at this, and the Canadian government doesn't have their hands on any of this. This Olds, the town of Olds, Alberta, it's the best research I could find is that it is a European-based company, but it's many companies, and it's not Black Rock, and it's not Brooksfield. It's none of those companies. And if you guys do the research on that, you know what I'm talking about. So people in the States are going to want to work there, and everything's going to be pockets of temporary work. So this is your crew. You guys are doing this for 6 months or 18 months, and this is your pay, and here's where you stay. And once that 18 months is over, next crew comes in for the next stage. And a lot of this, we're not talking about maintenance. We're talking about the building, the infrastructure of just building all of this. Forget about maintaining it. And the reason is because the power grid and the oil is what's going to feed this massive database, also in Alberta. So as I said, in 2022, she had a plan right from when she became and that's when she became premier of Alberta. The bigger that AI gets, the more land that they're going to need. And I'm sorry, the United States, but most of your land is in the desert, and it's hilly, and it's full of clay, and it is just not it's not nice, flat prairie land like what we have. You might have that in Montana, the states that are close to us. So that would make sense. But the massive amount of work that's going to be open while everybody's losing jobs because of AI. So this is the really crazy balance, is the more that AI gets stronger, the more databases and the more electricity and that or power grids and power sources that they're going to need, the more jobs are going to be lost, because the more AI there is, the more jobs that are going to be lost, because that's why AI is building up, because it's taking place of people. And the more that happens, the more they need people to start building this infrastructure around it. And it's temporary. So what do you think? Do you want, and I want to talk to you guys about what is your, your anticipation around where AI is going. Hey, Lily. So CRB says planet Earth should be one place for all humanity. Absolutely. There shouldn't be like borders. We made up borders. This is why we live in a matrix and why we live in a simulated universe. Because the idea, hey, Randy, the idea, and I'm going to do some free readings. All you have to do is add your birth chart and your birth date, and we'll do the free readings, right? So Alberta sits on a massive natural resource, and it is starting to attract global data centers like AI infrastructure and private capital, and it's positioning itself as an energy and technology hub. People are asking if we're building the future away, but who gets to decide that anyways? So this is where the separation talk comes into play. This is the part that you're missing. The reason that they want to be sovereign is because they want to do what they want to do without the relationship and negotiation with Ottawa. So whether Alberta stays or goes, the deeper story is this regions with resources and skills and infrastructures are reasserting themselves in a changing world. Nations everywhere are being reshaped by economics, technology, and identity. Alberta is just one very visible example. But remember, in 2022, I also mentioned Finland and Norway, and where else did I mention? Now, what's the vast amount of land there? Are they going to be utilized and because of the land that they have when it comes to AI? Trump won't make AB a state, just a territory with no rights like Puerto Rico. All the resources, AB will get stripped away and use it up. I think it's way different than that, because Puerto Rico is a very poor, very economically vulnerable small island. We're not that, right? We've got a lot more leverage and a lot more strength and a lot more power, and we're not vulnerable or desperate. And so we can't be taken advantage of in that way. We'll just go back to where we were here. If we're going to get taken advantage of by the United States, why wouldn't we just stay here and get taken advantage of? So she'll just turn around and go, I'll just go back to where I was before. What's the difference, right? Where that's very, very different with places like Puerto Rico. They had no other choice. They have nowhere else to go. It's all they had. And so, yeah, they could easily be taken advantage of because they are the weak link in the whole world economics. Canada is not a weak link. People might think we are, but people well, now they know we're not. We know we're not. Politicians know we're not. And So I don't, Capitalidor, that's not a viable answer to that. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think you've got to be very strategic when your resources are being used. You guys, I'm doing free readings too. So I'm an astrologer. Give me your birth date and your birth information, and we'll take a look at and ask a specific question, and we'll take a look at that question. And I thought there we go. Right. So this is basically what I need here if you're looking to get a free reading. And write down your birth date and write down your question right away. But right now we're talking about how the Wexit, that's what they're they've been calling it Wexit for a couple of years now, is going to be the hub for jobs. And it's going to put, economically, it will put Canada back on the map again. But you're going to have to go out there to get jobs. You're going to have to go out there to work. It's not going to be in Ontario. And it's not going to be in the East Coast. Now, I said Newfoundland would want to be sovereign. I don't know. I don't know why I said that. I can't remember. Will the new job turn out how I hope? Yep. Give me your birth date, D Queen Spooky. The Queen Spooky. And thank you for liking. Thank you for liking on TikTok. That means a lot to me. If you want to listen to this after, you're going to go over to YouTube. It's not going to be on TikTok. You got to go over to YouTube and take a look at the recording that will be uploaded. So August 25th, 2004. So as I was talking to this client of mine, and I'd said that his whole family is going to end up going out there and getting work, including his kids. He's going to end up moving. So that would be, if you're in Canada and you're thinking, I'm probably going to go out there and make a quick buck. And that's what a lot of people did back in the 70s too. They just would go out for a year and make a quick buck, but then they'd get addicted to the quick buck because it's a lot of working hours. It's going to be much different this time. Will the new job turn out how I hope? Not right away. No. No, but you'll have fun while it lasts. You have a very short attention span around work. You need your freedom. You need your sovereignty. You don't like being honed down or hogtied to a grind of a day-to-day work. And this makes it difficult for you to stay in a job like that. Okay? So you're going to be learning that. It will get a bit easier for you, whatever job you have, into after mid-April. But then it just, by June, so you have a good month in April, but then by June, you're frustrated and flustered again. So you do get very romantically excited in the honeymoon stage when you get something new. So know that you can hype things up a little bit more than what they are. And so when we do that, we let ourselves down because we get ourselves too excited. I'm like that too. So what I've learned to do as I've aged, and I said that to my husband, he'd be like, aren't you excited about what we're doing next week? Or aren't you excited about what we're doing next month? I'm like, nope. I'll get excited actually as soon as it starts happening because I don't want to get myself worked up for something that might not happen. So looking at, I do have clients here that are membership on my YouTube. You guys, if you get a membership, you're supporting me, you're supporting this channel, helping me build it, helping me grow it is by subscribing and liking, like every single episode that you see, because I'm here every single night. You're welcome, DeQueen. I wish I had a better answer for you. I'm sorry. Come back and let me know what happens with it. The idea is also, if you share. Thanks for liking. Thank you for following DeQueen. So what do you think if Alberta separates and becomes the hub for work around the world. And the jobs, people that are here and wanna stay here, because I'll be surprised that if there are, uh, immigrants here or you've got your PR here, many of you are gonna be hightailing it back to the East because there's gonna be a ton of jobs there and a massive, amazing standard of living. If you've if you're here and you were born here and you've settled roots here and all your family's here, then why would you go back? 'Cause but if you're missing your home and you're missing your culture and you're missing your family and you're only here to try to make life better for you, this won't Canada won't be the place that you need to stay to do that. You can go back home, and there's gonna be a ton of work there. Anybody who lives I in the East, I don't know what you call it, the Middle I don't wanna say Middle East because it's not just the Middle East, but because it's Dubai and Qatar, and that's where giant and then because I was predicting this for so long, I have a client who follows me who's actually a regular coaching client because I do coach with clients regularly, and she works for a big company in the UK that does work with all of this new technology and AI, and she forwarded me some information. I can't show you exactly because it's privileged to her work experience, to her work, just dialogues happening at her work. But let's just say that there is some significant work that they're doing with Qatar and Dubai that solidifies my predictions. Yeah. Yeah. And everybody wants to get on this game. And so what's happening is there's 2 things going on. There's this crazy AI world going on where all life is gonna change drastically, and how you go with the flow will determine whether this is gonna be hard on you or not. And the other half of the world, and I'm talking politicians and everything too, where they're looking at the massive climate change agenda that they have. And one is a distraction from the other. You know why they're doing this? Oh my God, I just got to download right now. Okay, this can't be rocket science. This can't be rocket science. To me, now that I got the download, I'm going, this is so freaking obvious. How much more obvious can it be? Why do you think they want us to not siphon from the grid? Us everyday average people, because they need it. They need it for AI. You heard this right here. They need all of that. They need all that they can get for AI and for development. And AI isn't just like, oh, there's somebody that's going to be a robot, doing my laundry, or I'll be at Walmart and a robot's going to be taking my money. No, it's warfare, it's military, it's CIA, it's global monetary banking system, it's financials, it's monetary, materialism. It's all over the place, right? It's everything. Anything humans are, that's where it is. So they can't get enough of it if we are using all of it up. And even if they managed this, it's called net zero race to net zero in the climate change. What is it? Climate something plan. And yeah, it's a lot of it. Well, it is distraction, Jude, but in a way it's not. If they can get us to go to lower our carbon footprint, which basically is energy, by 20%, that gives them 20%. And in the agenda used to be 2030. Now the agenda is 2040 and 2050, and you can look it up. It's like on the government websites and everything. So the first stage is, let's say, lower it by 2030 by 20%. But then between 2030 and 2035, AI will be double. So then they're going to want to lower us down to 50%. And then by 2040, AI will be triple. So they're going to want to lower us by 75%. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not about we need to be using less energy on the planet because it's so detrimental and inhumane to do so. It's because they need more energy. Elon said the next 5 years there will be more robots than humans. I did say Lloyd Chi says we're cooked. What do you mean by that? That we're cooked? I love that. Please make a comment on that. We have to be very careful with Elon. I like the stuff that he's done and whatnot. I can't say if I like him or I don't like him because he's a human being. I don't even know who he is. But he has his own agenda. So he's got a vested interest in the future of AI, and he's on the race with China. And there's, depending on what camp you're in, he's ahead of the game. And if you're in another camp, China's ahead of the game. And of course, he's going to tell the world that my robots are going to take over. We're going to be deploying 1 point something million robots by the end of 2026. He has said something like that on his recent podcasts, and I've watched them. So he has a vested interest in promoting his own work. We all do. Whenever we go into business and we're inventors, everyone's going to have it. Everyone's going to have a sewing machine. Everyone's going to have a telephone. They thought that was crazy at one time. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but everyone owning one personally, I think, is a little further off. And they've actually said they pushed that agenda, that it is a little bit further off than what they think it will be. And guess what? I believe AI and robots has no future. Oh, tell me more about that. Would you say the same if you were in the 1800s? Would you say the same about the television or the telephone or the car, a vehicle, which completely, the invention of the car changed our world forever. Forever. It was never the same after that. That was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And nothing, right about close to the same time the sewing machine was made. So shortly after that, the washing machine, the dryer was made. Slowly there was more and more engineered inventions. And then some came through because of the war. Some inventions came out from things that they were trying to do with the war. So I don't want any in my house. No, you may not have. See, this is the thing, though. A lot of people think that everything's going to be like this. Everything's going to be like robots walking around. 30% of the cars in San Francisco's have no drive. San Francisco's doesn't have a driver. 30%. Anybody from San Francisco? Anybody visit San Francisco recently? They said you could just look around and you'd see like every third car didn't have a driver in it. So it's already happening. And San Francisco is one of the smart cities that they're trying to come out with. And it's working. People are getting it. People are buying them. Why wouldn't you buy? So if you don't want it in your house, let's put it this way. And I'm just being devil's advocate. Okay. I'm just being a devil's advocate and being the philosopher and getting you to think outside of the box. What if I like yours, Randy. That's a good one too. Who's going to buy products if we don't work? Okay, I got to address that one right away. There's a lot of people that are not working. Lots of people don't work, CRB. They still buy products. They still want new gadgets. They still want new clothes. They still want to try the latest cream that's going to make them look 50 years younger. They still want to buy things for their garden and their house and their friends. And why? So they're going to get a basic income. If they get a basic income and they make sure we're paid enough, and then prices, like Elon Musk says, all the prices will come down because it'll cost a lot less to produce, so they can sell it to us cheaper and then give us money. And then it's like this, right? And it gets taxed. The companies that are selling us stuff like Amazon gets taxed so that provides us with our income and our health care, etc. That's not the perfect world to me. This is why I said that we're gonna have a breakaway system. So for the people like CRB and the people that are totally, "No, we're not doing anything to do with AI or the robotic system," they're gonna go completely off the grid. There's gonna be kind of like a mishmash of different types of versions, just like there is Mennonites. There's some Mennonites that literally have nothing. They just they live off grid, they only ride horses, they have no electronics, no machinery, but there are some that have incorporated some of modern conveniences into their lives, and they probably are, against each other for that, right? They probably judge each other because of that. So there will be that mishmash of people who will use a little bit and people who won't, but this breakaway civilization is going to go off grid and then just develop their own system. They're not going to be without modern conveniences. They're just going to develop their own system. But that's going to take a while because the inventors, the ones that have money, and there are people out there that have a lot of money that would rather be off the system. So it's not like us, a bunch of us poor people that don't have jobs trying to scrape, you know, 2 shillings together to no, we're gonna have some wealthy people that will be involved in that infrastructure. So corporates, will they the thing that actually the only hole in this that I see is garbage. And that's what I was talking about last night with the movie Wall-E, Walle, is the garbage. Like, what are we gonna do with all this? Because we're gonna become just consumer junkies. It's the only thing that's gonna make a lot of people happy. So that we're gonna start getting spoiled and greedy and lazy because we won't really have to, and we're gonna eat all the garbage food that they're gonna make up because they're already making up food that we can eat. But the break off civilization, which I'll be there, I'll be that middle ground one, will provide for themselves. And AI will never ever be as smart as humans can be. Back in the Lemuria, um, Atlantis, there is proof. They're trying to say there wasn't proof of a modern age. CRB and you guys were talking about the Tartarian or Tartalian or something like that. That was a very advanced stage. Archaeologic Archaeologists have found a cog-like wheel, something that would be used in a modern machinery, buried in the abyss of the ocean, under the ocean's earth floor, only about 15 years ago, because they couldn't go that far before. And it is documented through research to be like billions BC. Billions BC. So why would that kind of modern technology? They even found computer chips that were buried so deep into the ocean floor that it was billions of years old. We did have a modern civilization. We did. The research I've done, hands down, no question, we did. And we lost it. Are we going to do that again? Which is what I think CRB's spidey sense is all about. Are we going to do this again to ourselves? Very good possibility. It's a very good possibility. However, some are saying that we're already past the worst. Now, Greg Braden says we are the last of pure humans, and the next generation will not be pure human, that they will have parts of them generated by AI that will not be who they really are. That's not the way they were born. With that being said, telepathy tapes, you guys, I drill this down all the time for you guys. And if you want to have a reading, put in your birth date and your birth information and give me a specific question, And with that birth date and birth information and specific question, I will answer your question for you. Okay, so that's all I need is for a free reading to do that. And if you now I'd lost track of what I was talking about there. Oh, the telepathy tapes. AI will not be able to read our minds. It won't. It will learn the magic or the psychology or the hypnotic way because there is, I forget his name, but there's a guy out there that's just brilliant at it. He was just on the Sean Ryan show a few weeks ago. And you would even though he explains step by step what he's doing on a psychological level, he still knows more about a complete stranger than anyone should know. And it still boggles your mind like it looks like. So AI will figure that out. So it'll look like they've got telepathy and whatnot, but they won't be able to do what we can do. And we're just forgotten. We have just forgotten our powers. We can heal ourselves. We can heal each other. Like, this is not woo-woo. Listen to, especially season 2. Looping. What's looping mean? Okay. Oh, I'm back now. Okay, okay, thank you, Wonder Mom. So this question here, I think robots and AI will benefit the elderly and disabled and mobility issues. Absolutely. There's a lot of wonderful things. And if you watch Mo Gawad talks a lot about the fortunate things that will happen because of AI, and that a very few percent will try to misuse it successfully. And that's not going to be enough to ruin us. Just like there's more than 1% that is misusing their greed and power and money right now as we speak, and has been forever. And we're still functioning and managing well. So the Wexit, or the Alberta agreement, and Saskatchewan too, with the United States and some other countries, obviously some European countries, because they've already built a whole database grid in old Alberta. You are going to want to know this is where the money is. This is where the jobs are going to be. And CRB, is it every 1,200 years or is it every 24.5 point something, 24,000 years? The 12,000 years is, I know, the halfway. That's usually like the Kali Yuga is the 12,000 year mark. I might be wrong. The 24 point something, it's around 24, give or take, because it's a celestial, it's going by the planet sort of timing. So it's different. But yeah, I think that's a Kali Yuga, and that is every 24,000 years. And there's this really cool thing with Sirius A and Sirius B, that the orbit is crossing over our orbit. The solar systems aren't crossing over each other, but the orbit of when, let me see this. Anyways, that also explains, I'm all over the place because that's how my brain works, is also proving that we're right in the age of Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius. Forget about all that Western stuff where everybody's saying, oh, the Saturn's now in this and Neptune's in Aries. No, it's all BS. I did Western astrology for 30 years. I go by astronomy astrology. So Sirius is a solar system, right? So Sirius, so this is like our solar system, which is the sun. And this is a Sirius and Sirius B solar system. And the closest they get in their orbital field, with the sun getting as close as it can get in its orbital field or its orbital path, they get the closest they get to each other is at 24,000, every 24,000 something thousand years. That's why it's not exactly like a calendar. Okay. That's why they have to keep adding time every few years, because our calendar isn't exactly the way our cosmic calendar is. Kali Yuga is something else. about 12 to 15,000 happens a catastrophic event. Yeah, you're right. That you're right. So if I were to, so if we were to do the Kali Yuga in 24,000 years, 24,000 years, the Yuga cycle is a theory popularized by Sri Yukteswar, The Holy Science, 1894, proposing a 12,000-year ascending and a 12,000-year descending cycle rather than the traditional millions of years. The model suggests we are currently in an ascending Dwapara Yuga, or nearing the end of the ascending Kali Yuga. So we're both right, CRB. The whole entire cycle is called the Kali Yuga. It's called the Yuga. And there is the ascending Kali, and then there's the descending. So we're in the middle. We're right at that 12,000 year mark but the thing is, it's not like you go to bed at 10 o'clock and wake up at 6 and it's a brand new day. It's not that easy. It takes a long time for this to shift. And then they say there's a catastrophic event. So if you look at what catastrophic happened 12,000 years ago, was that the Great Flood? The Younger Dryas, an abrupt climate catastrophe that plunged the warming planet back into the Ice Age. That's right, it's the Ice Age. They say the Ice Age is like the Great Flood, right? Like the Great Flood was wet water, H2O. The Ice Age was just frozen water, H2O. All has to do with water, doesn't it? I wonder what happened prior to that. That would be interesting. But the year, so what was the year of the Ice Age? So the year of the Ice Age was 11, okay, here we go. So began about 2.6 million years ago and ended around 11,700 years ago. So we got 300 years to go yet, but we are at the tail end of it. But it began about 2.6 million years ago. So how long did it last? 20,000 years ago. How long did the Ice Age last? You know, you always just think the Ice Age was just like like it happened and then it disappeared. But it lasted from approximately 115,000 to 11,700. So the peak occurring about 26,000 to 20,000 years ago. So according to that, CRB, the entire first half of the Yuga was the Ice Age. So then the other half is the warming age. That's confusing. I'm going to have to work on that one. But I don't believe we're in that catastrophic stage yet. Oh, you're not going to find this online. 2042 and 46 new date for the event. Yeah. You're right, we're not going to see the exact, because every scholar has their own take on when these things happen. When did the Ice Age happen? When did the Great Flood happen? The Bible has a different take on the Great Flood. And right now, it looks to be from 300 to 1,000 years from now. And they want us to live forever. Can you imagine that? Would you like to live forever? AI could find a way, which is going to be fueled by Alberta, Canada, and that's where all the jobs are going to come from. It's going to be other places too. It could help us to be longer forever. Ice Age is a hoax. How you can freeze in a moment, those little tiny creatures. This was event, everything freezes in a moment. Yeah. I don't know a lot about the Ice Age. I thought it was a slow cooling, cold. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like a deep freeze overnight. That's my understanding of it. It was a slow progress around it. But you can do your research in history, and the download, that's a download that I'm receiving around it. Thank you, Shatani. What a beautiful name. So if you'd like to have a free reading, we're all going to survive this. It's not going to be doom and gloom. Call me a utopian optimist, but I am. I'm optimistic. I believe that we are all here. I'd like to know how many people were on the planet before the flood and the Ice Age, because we are all here to make it work, to make it work this time. That's why there's 8 point something billion people on the planet, because we are going to this is going to be a game changer. I think we've been here longer than they say. We've probably, you know what? You're right, said Tani. We have been here forever. Not necessarily looking like this, but this earth has been inhabited many times by many entities. It's always a playground. It's always a playground. And what we're doing is we're playing. And some people aren't very good people to play with. We want to kick them off the playground. They're not invited. And it runs in cycles. I will tell you, I do a ton of research on this because I've been fascinated by the meaning of life since I was 17, if not younger. So when I was 14, I believed in soulmates. And then when I was 17, in the near future, no, it's not in the near future. We've all had many lives. We've had thousands of lives. Thousands of lives. There are some that believe we are in the number 7 civilization. See, I thought the argument was whether we were even in 6, because that really determines whether you believe in Atlantis or not. Atlantis is, I'm looping again. I'm sorry. Everybody else, am I looping, or am I just looping for Wonder Mom? Because nobody else has said it. Santini, am I looping? Were we once more etheric at one point? Yeah, absolutely. We were like the telepathy people, right? We're like the telepathy. We had all the powers. Everybody says it's good. It looped just once. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we were telepathic. We could heal each other. We were powerful. And then in the Enoch, this probably was our second or third civilization. I believe it was 6 to 7, so you're right. And there is proof that we've had 5 civilizations. I think it's kind of like if you were in soul form, I don't know what your question was, Wonder Mom. So was there a genetic downgrade, or was it just part of the natural cycle? I don't know. I don't see a genetic downgrade. There was Neanderthals and there was cavemen, but they're separate. That's not who we were. That's not what we are. I do believe, and Greg Braden talks about like this, because the chromosome 2, its telomere is like spliced, and that's where there's another gene in it, where other gene nodes is not like that in the monkeys or the apes or the pig or the rats, like are closest to our DNA. And so we were the Neanderthal like people were impregnated by The 13th Planet. You can read that book. And that created that version of us. So we're much more sensitive to weather. Like the other day, my Neanderthal DNA is 0.3 or something, or I might not even have it at all now. I think I don't have it. They changed 123andMe changed and added some stuff and got rid of stuff. Yeah, we're hybrids, Neanderthal alien hybrids. Absolutely. I know I'm kind of skirting around it. Therefore, yeah, Neanderthals were alive with us and they're separate beings. That's right. We didn't evolve from Neanderthals per se, but this hybrid, and with Enoch, the gods, whatever you want to call them, came down to give us to help teach us, to help raise us. And they became enthralled with the women. They impregnated the women. And they gave women some gifts too fast. And they gave some men gifts too fast, like how to make weaponry and how to use weaponry and how to use astrology and how to use sorcery. And God, whoever that is, punished, so to speak, the fallen angels that gave us these gifts too soon. And I think a lot of this is metaphorical. I believe it's that metaphorically we hybrids with these gifts, some of us born with them, some of us not, wanted to use these gifts, but all of humankind wasn't ready for it because we weren't our hybrid, our alien version. We're hybrid. So they tried to submerge those gifts. And that's when political and power and agenda came into play. I don't know. CRB, what do you think of that? But that was definitely, we did not slowly, become upright like the Darwin theory. As centuries went on, we became more, upright, more human, and our brains got bigger, smaller, and our brains became more active and whatnot. No, because otherwise, I said this when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I first heard the Darwin theory. I said, then why aren't they still turning into humans? Right? Wonder Mom says it sounds like it makes sense. Why aren't monkeys still turning into humans? Like, the best way that you can learn about evolution, and there are a lot of animals and insects and that have evolved. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. Some fish became more amphibian and then became land. And you can find that on the Guapalopolis. I never say it right. The island Guapalopolis, which is just outside of, not Ethiopia. Oh my gosh, begins with an E. The country in Brazil. Anyways, near Peru. That's where like the oldest of old ancient animals and untouched, ancient plants and everything is. So that's where they can do a lot of their studies. Those people wrote those mythologies who know is the true or not. Like today we have history, mostly a lie. Well, yeah, history is his story. That's what history means. His story. And that's how we used to I have a ton of knowledge. Thanks, Lynn. That's why I do a lot of research. I mean, I'm just fascinated by this stuff. I don't know. I know a little bit of everything and all of nothing except for astrology. And I encourage you guys to research this yourself. Don't say verbatim what I'm saying without doing your own research as well. So the history, that's the way it used to be back then. We would pass on stories. That's what the Bible is. The Bible was stories passed on. The Bible wasn't all written when Jesus was living. The Bible was written 100 years later, 500 years later, 400 years BC. It's a culmination of people's stories of remembering that was passed on. Maybe by Mesopotamia or whatever they lied about. Mesopotamia. Tomia or whatever they lie to, who knows? Yeah, it's hard to say, right? It's what I'm really, really interested in is I'm in the backstage of the telepathy group, and I know some of the people behind the scenes too, is when we thank you, TikTokers. They are gonna come out with a Q&A section, and they asked us that are behind the scenes, what questions would you have for nonverbals? Nonverbals are ones that have the gift of knowing of our existence. They have telepathy, they read minds, they know things, remote viewing, they can read blindfolded, blind sight. Actually, Nicola Pharma, take a look at her work. She teaches kids how to read blindfolded, and she teaches adults how to teach kids how to read blindfolded. And the power that they give, that gives them, just the sheer confidence they gain from that is incredible. But they're going to come out with this. Everybody's got all these questions. Mostly it's the meaning of life. Is there aliens? What was our history? Who built the pyramids? Like, I can't wait till this episode comes out, and I'll share it with you guys what happened with the link of what is it? Where there's still, this is like Indiana Jones. Like, we're literally living in a big giant Indiana Jones movie or the Holy Grail movie. We're all looking for the Holy Grail. We're all Indiana Jones looking for the lost civilizations. Where did we come from? But internally, and this is what I want to share with you, is it doesn't matter that you don't have the meaning of life and you don't know why we're here and you don't know the existence of who we were as a human race. What matters most, and this is the easiest, much easier to solve than that one, is, and this is what I love to do when I work with my clients. If you're watching this now, subscribe, like, specifically on YouTube, because my TikTok is blown up, but my YouTube is weeny, weeny, peeny, and I need it to grow. I need it bigger. I need more subscribers, because I'm going to be selfish. I've hired an agent and I want to get on more podcasts to talk about this stuff. And they're going to look at my little weeny peeny YouTube and it's not going to help. So I need it to grow. The thing is that I lost my train of thought again. It'll bounce back. They proclaim thyself God, and who knows what they want to live behind. The ego was big. So yeah, when the telepathy tape stuff comes out and they give us all the answers, I'm so wondering about my purpose is as I approach my next level. Yeah, so thank you, Paula. If you know who you are, if you know who you are, if you know what your gifts are, if you know what your destiny is and what your mission is, and I'll tell you for free how you can look that up yourself. You don't need me. If you know why, what you were in past lives, what gifts did you come in here with already? And what challenges and gifts are you growing and learning and building on in this lifetime? If you want to know what you were in a past life, look at your moon or what's in your 12th house, if there is anything. See what Pluto is connected to. Is it trine your Venus? Is it opposing your sun? If it's opposing your sun, you have a past life relationship with your father. If it's opposing your moon, you have a past life relationship. If it's doing anything with your sun and your moon, it's opposing, it means your mom or your dad have been in many lifetimes with you. If it's weaning away, if it's a far orb and it's like moving forward, it means that you're separating from the soul family that involves the souls of your mom and your dad. I know I don't belong on this crazy planet. I know many of us don't. And if you want to know what your mission is and what your mission statement is, you look at your North Node or your Rahu. So you look at your North Node and you read that, or you can just put in ChatGPT. My North Node is in Gemini in the 9th house. What does that mean? Well, your destiny is, or you can get a destiny reading by me. I spend 2 hours on a destiny reading and I send it to you in an email. You get a booklet, you get a 1 hour recording. And I tell you everything about yourself. It'll freak you out because people are like, "How do you know that about me?" I'll know if you were abandoned as a child, if you've got money stories because your dad was poor, if you fought with your brother since you were 8, if something tragic happened when you were 14, but I don't just say what happened, I say why it happened. Aries moon, Paula, most likely you're probably a Pisces moon because I do astronomy astrology, not Western astrology. I'm looking at the stars and the constellations where they are right now. And Paula, that's how you can get a mini reading by me for 33 bucks. And if you belong to my newsletter, you'll see that I have a $20 mini reading on sale right now. It's a 10-minute one, but so everyone, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much. TikTok, you hung in there. So grateful for all of you. I've got this all figured out. I didn't have my whole system figured out, but I do now. And so what do you think? What do you think about Alberta? What do you think about the job rush that's going to explode in Alberta and Saskatchewan? What do you think about it exploding out in the Middle East as well, and where the Western will be the new Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia is going to be the new place to everybody's going to want to, and that means the Saudi Arabia is like the oil part, right? And thank you, Wonder Mom. I'm here 8 o'clock every night, which will only be for a few weeks because then we're on the road again because I'm nomad. So we're going to be on the road again for 4 months, and I will be intermittent throughout the week. And my times are going to change. We're going to have time changes all the time. So it might change too. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll get notifications on it. And on TikTok, I can't do that. You just have to be on there and hope that it happens. Thank you, CRB. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.